All right, so welcome to Fusion 360. This is a computer-aided design program. So what it's going to allow you to do is to take ideas and then basically build them within your computer. And then you can either make it 2D plan sets or bring those designs to CNC machines like routers, 3D printers. And so what you'll notice is we want to just kind of look at the interface in terms of what we have over here. So over on this side, this is our data panel, sorry. So the data panel lets us kind of navigate through folders. So if I am trying to get to a folder that already exists or a project, I can just continue to click on whatever I need to and get to those folders. So if I need to make a folder, let's say I'm going to make this tutorials. What I'll notice is I can open up that folder, there's nothing in there. And then by default, you have this untitled workspace document here. So what you have up here at the top now is what we call the application bar. So this has all of these different things. We have to get a new design, we have our save icon, we have a file, all those things. If we have the data panel not showing, we can click on that and it will show back up. So let me just save this to start with. I'm going to call this, you can see it's in that folder that I've opened up to. I'm just going to call this tutorial number 1. So the goal with this is just to understand kind of how do we navigate through Fusion 360 and then make some simple designs. And so we have our data panel, we have our application bar, and we're not going to use those a ton. What we are going to use a lot is this next section. So this part here is our toolbar. And you'll notice right now it's on solid. You have surface, mesh, sheet metal, plastic, utilities, manage, all sorts of different things. For this class, most of what we're going to do is within the solid the solid part of the toolbar. You can see in these drop-down menus, you have all sorts of things that you can create. We have modifications, we have assembly, but for now, today, we're really just kind of focused on this part of the toolbar. So when we get past the toolbar, we have a couple of more things. We have our browser area, so we can expand this if we want to. As we start to create sketches and bodies and components, they'll populate the browser, and that will allow us to kind of see what's in here. And so if I want to change something like my document units, I can click on that little expansion for the gear icon, and then if I want to edit that, I can change it from inch to millimeter to centimeter, meter, whatever I want, whatever's appropriate for the topic that I'm looking at. Yep. So the main area is this big gray area in the middle. This is called the assembly, and it's where you're going to actually draw your sketches and your bodies and components. So this is where you'll actually move things around. And so what happens a lot of times is you start with Fusion 360 or any CAD program is it is hard to orient yourself when you're in two-dimensional space or when you have a two-dimensional surface like a computer screen and you're trying to navigate 3D shape. So over here is your view cube. You can see if you pick a corner and you drag it around, it will rotate around that point with you. You can also click on the top. So you have a top view, you can rotate that. You can click on the home view to always get you back to that home part. You can click on the right. You can click on the corners. That's one way to navigate around. We'll look at another one in just a minute. So we have our view cube, and down at the bottom, if we right click, we get this marking menu. So this is called our marking menu when we right click, and there's different things that we can do. Some of them are going to be the same idea as before where we move around, but the right click brings up that menu option for us. And then down here at the very bottom, we have this navigation bar. You can see I've clicked on the little hand that allows me to pan things. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I have orbit. There's a different way to navigate. And then we have some shortcuts for those that we'll look at in just a minute. But for the most part, we'll also pay attention to this part down here, which is our timeline. So our timeline keeps track of the things that we've done and is really helpful if we're trying to modify something or go back to a certain point within a design where we might want to change something. So the timeline will populate as we start to build sketches and bodies and stuff like that. So the first thing that we want to really look at is everything is going to start with a sketch. And so we're going to talk about how we do this, all right, and talk about what this looks like. So I'm going to make sure that I create a sketch. So the way that I do that is I click on this little icon here. So I will click on that. It's going to ask me to create a sketch, and then it's going to basically prompt me for like, where do I want to sketch it? So I have this plane here, or this bottom plane here. I'm going to click on the bottom plane, and as soon as I click on it, it's going to orient itself perpendicular to that plane. Now if I click the scroll wheel, so scroll wheel is going to zoom in and zoom out. If I click and hold the center wheel of the mouse, it's going to pan back and forth. And if I shift click the center wheel of the mouse, so shift and click is going to allow me to pan. So once I get a screwed up position, I'm going to go back to the top because that's what I'm drawing on. And I now have different options up here for what to sketch. We're going to sketch a simple rectangle. So we click on 2-point rectangle. Doesn't really matter where we click for this. And we're going to drag across. Now my workspace is set to inches. So I'm going to say this is 1 inch. And then I'm going to hit tab by 1 inch and hit OK. And that's all I need for right now. I've made a sketch. You can see I zoom in, right? If I click the mouse wheel and drag around, it's going to pan. And if I do shift and click, it's going to rotate. I'm going to click top one more time to get back to it. All right, I'm going to finish my sketch. And then I'm going to click home so I can see what it looks like. So it's going to zoom in. And if I need to zoom out a little bit, I can do that. All right, now you can see if I hover over that boundary, over that square, it's going to highlight. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to make what's called a body. Right now, we just have a 2-dimensional shape. I want to make a 3-dimensional shape. So I'm going to click on that, and then this up here, I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to click extrude, and we're going to go up 1 inch. I can either pull it out 1 inch, or I can say 1 inch over here. Either way gets me there. All right, I'm going to click home one more time. So it reorients itself. And just to show you, I'm going to drag that corner of that cube and then move it around, and I can see that it is it is orbiting around that point. What you'll notice down here in the timeline is it has created a sketch, it has created an extrusion. Let's say that I want to go back and change that extrusion. I can click on this, and you can see it brings up that menu again, and I could adjust it to something different, and then it would adjust that there. So again, I can always go back and start to mess with the timeline if I need to. All right, so we've made one cube. What I want to do now is we're going to make a multiple cube. So I'm going to extrude another face. So I'm going to click on this, and it's highlighted in blue. And now I'm going to hit E. So that's another way that you can do it. You can just hit E as opposed to clicking up there. I'm going to do the same thing up by 1 inch. And it's asking me to join. It's going to try to make it into one continuous piece. I don't actually want to do that with this one. I want to click New Body. So New Body gives me a totally separate cube that I can deal with. And we'll look what's happening over here in our browser. So I now have these bodies that are showing up, right? And I can click on them, select them. I can also see that I have that sketch that I made. Now, these little eyeball icons turn on and off whatever it's next to. Once we extruded that first piece, it turned off that sketch by default. We can always go back and turn it back on. It hasn't deleted it. It's still just sitting there. All right,